Gnoddy's ear flaps are so sweet, and there's a few little tricks that'll make getting them started and attached a little bit easier. So let's talk about that. After you work the ear flaps, you'll have two of them. You'll have one, the first one, where you had to break the yarn. So that's ear flap 1. And then there's ear flap 2. Ear flap 2 still has the working yarn attached. So the first thing we're going to do after we work our ear flaps is we're going to leave this yarn attached, and we're going to do the knitted cast on. And the knitted cast on is a fairly simple cast on that's nice and familiar to a lot of people. Yarn's going to be coming off the stitch, the rightmost stitch here, and you're going to go into this loop, pull your yarn through, and you're going to come over here and you'll twist the loop and put it on the needle. And then you'll tighten it. Don't over tighten. If you tighten it really tight, this becomes inflexible and not very useful. And then you'll go in again. So that's what it looks like continental, the way I do it. I will say that as you tighten the yarn, if your needle is already in the loop, you can't really over tighten it. Plus it's already ready to make the next stitch. So put it on, slide it under, and tighten, and you're sort of already in place for the next move. If you are a thrower or an English knitter, as they're both referred to, it would look like this. You would throw over, bring your loop, cast on, and you can do the same trick. You can put your needle under already, tighten up a little bit, throw, bring it through, twist, you can leave it in there, tighten it a bit, throw, and repeat. So just remember to make a loop, twist it back up, and so you're never going to be transferring stitches to your right hand needle. They're just going to be building up here on your left. Now, one thing about counting, you can see we started with our 5 stitches, but now there's a gap between stitch 4 and stitch 5, and it's just when you start this cast on, you're going to start making those, and it's going to pull that over. So when you cast on, this first one after the bump doesn't count for your cast on. So however many stitches you're told to cast on, sort of take that into account and don't include that one after the gap. That big gap there is not your 0 point. One after is now your 0. So I have cast on a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stitches. So that's the knitted cast on. We're going to work it according to pattern, and then we'll come back and we'll work on the second loop. So after we've worked our first set of cast-ons, we're going to take this needle and we're going to turn it, flip it, and work on the second ear flap. And what we're going to do is we're going to work so that the working yarn is on the rightmost stitch here. So don't have it coming off like this. We want it here like this. And what we're going to do is we're going to take this yarn and we're going to knit across. Nice and simple. Nothing fancy here. So we now have our ear flap, our cast on, and our ear flap, and we're going to cast on again. So this needle is now going to transfer over and flip. This is going to put our working yarn at our rightmost tip again, and we'll do the knitted cast on. And then we're going to cast on fewer stitches. By casting on fewer stitches, this is going to make the extra stitches are back, and then the short stitches are front. So let's cast on, and then I'll explain why that happens. So you can see there's quite a big difference in the number of stitches we cast on, and there's a good reason for that. So you can see here that by having the ear flaps be off center, as it were, so that we have a shorter front bit and a much longer back bit, what we do is we push those ear flaps to the front, and they're inside the shoulders so that they are here as part of the face and not off sort of back here and just sort of flapping. So they frame our face really nicely by having the shorter section as the front. Once you've cast on, now you're going to need to distribute to work in the round. It will be tempting to weave in your ends, and I do say in the pattern, don't weave in your ends. And it is fine to weave in these 3 ends, and you will notice as our tutorials continue that I will have woven in my ends. And the reason I have said don't do it is because if you weave in the color change ends right here where the color changes, it's going to make picking up stitches harder. It's going to make it harder to see where we need to pick up. So These hat flap ones that we have here, these ones can be woven in. It's the color change one that until you know what you're doing, it's easier in the book for me to just say, wait until it's all over. If you would like to weave these in maybe in a round or two, go ahead. Make sure that you tidy them up and everything's fine. So we need to distribute for knitting in the round. If you're magic loop, you know what to do. You're going to split this in half and work. So when you're joining to knit in the round and you kind of get lost, especially now with all these ends and everything, just remember that the yarn will be coming off the last stitch we worked. And when we're working in the round, we want to work clockwise. So the last stitch work should always be sort of farther back on the clock, and the first stitch you're going to go work should be next in line in a clockwise formation. Marker that we place after round 5. We are going to switch from knitting our brim, and we're going to put a marker in row 5 on the wrong side. And what that's going to do is it's going to give us a beginning of round marker for when we go to pick up stitches from the hat. We're going to flip this inside and we're going to pick up from here, going not the stitch we marked, but one over. And we'll do that in the other video. But so we're going to leave this stitch marker in even if you finish the hat.